How did the crowd react when apparently they just blacked out the sequence in the movie?
I think I heard an audible gasp from everybody in there. Yeah.
That's got to be interesting marketing in a way, that you could like be too intense for San Diego Comic-Con. I don't know that's ever happened. Hi, David Crow, managing editor at Den of Geek here, and I am joined with some of the cast of The Long Walk, some of our long walkers, Garrett Wareing and Tut Nyuot, as well as the screenwriter J.T. Mollner, and as well as producer Roy Lee. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Happy to be here.
How y'all doing this morning? I hear y'all had an eventful Hall H.
Yeah, Hall H was quite the event for us. Comic-Con deemed the footage too intense to show in its full entirety, so they censored some of the footage, and it was quite exciting to be able to watch the fan reactions and to hear their reactions to what we're seeing. Yeah.
How did the crowd react when apparently they just blacked out the sequence in the movie?
I think I heard an audible gasp from everybody in there. Yeah.
That's got to be interesting marketing in a way, that you could like be too intense for San Diego Comic-Con. I don't know that's ever happened before.
Look, this movie pulls no punches. You know, Francis Lawrence is an incredible filmmaker, and your script, JT, I mean, it's beautifully done. And while the film is intense, it's equally beautiful and moving and poignant, and it's about camaraderie and brotherhood and appreciating what you have while you have it. Yeah.
There's one winner. And no finish line.
Yeah, to begin speaking with this in earnest, it is a very intense story. It is, I believe, the first story Stephen King ever wrote. Not the first published, but he was 18 when he started writing this story. That makes me curious, JT and Roy, maybe was this a personal one, or how old were y'all when you discovered The Long Walk?
My first Stephen King book was Carrie, and I was 7 years old. And I made it through the whole book. I found it at a used bookstore in Ojai, and I got sent to the principal's office because I had that book on my desk in second grade. From that point on, I was a constant reader. So I revere Stephen King. I religiously read his new book that usually comes out once a year. Right around his birthday and mine, which is in September, and The Long Walk is just one of the books that I read at some point. I think I was in my late teens or early 20s, and it had a profound effect on me. And so when Roy called me and said, "Would you like to adapt this?" It was like a dream come true. And the fact that Francis wanting to direct it and also trusting me to write it for him, Stephen King trusting me with it, it was a really magical experience. And then I knew that everything, like the direction of the movie, was all about the casting. And if the cast wasn't right, the movie just doesn't work. Doesn't matter how good the script is, doesn't matter how good the direction is, and the cast is just the heart of this movie. I mean, these guys are amazing in the film. And it's a heartbreaking and also terrifying movie. Speaking
to our cast, does it feel like a youthful story to you? Obviously, it's starring young characters, but do you feel like it captures an anger or a sense of displacement of being a young person?
That was one of the first things I got from reading the script. Obviously, the premise is they all sign up, but my understanding is, are we really signing up when it's set in a world where you're almost, you look at the walk and it's patriotic, or it's you have your reasons to look at it and want to be there. So is it a choice? Because to me it's social conditioning, and that's one of the things that spoke to me. But also it's like it captures the real feeling of just wanting to belong. And seeking friendship in the most adverse conditions, literally walk or die. Do you know what I mean? And we're looking for friends, and we're trying to form these relationships, build these relationships. And obviously playing Arthur Baker, he mentions it, and it's such a beautiful line. He says, I just want to walk and make some friends. Literally that.
It's in the running of my favorite. It's like up there with one of my favorite lines delivered in the whole movie, because his delivery is just like profound in that moment. It's really a beautiful moment.
You're so kind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is it difficult because yes, your characters are in a competition where they're one by one being killed when they're eliminated, when they can no longer walk. Is it difficult to enter the mindset of someone who would sign up for that, or figure out why they really want to sign up?
I think both Stephen King and JT Mollner, so cool that that's in the same breath, by the way. That's really cool, dude.
You can say it again. Say it again.
Yeah, JT Mollner and Stephen King, I think, crafted these characters in a way that had justified reasons for entering this walk, you know. Stebbins, my character, has a very specific reason, which fans of the book will know why. But we begin to understand why these boys are there and what their reasonings are behind this. But really, the enticing part of this for these boys is that wish that you get at the end of the race, right? When you win this walk, the one boy that wins gets anything he wants. He gets all the money in the world and one wish, right? And I think that is the incentivizing token for these boys to join this walk. Yeah.
Also, if you think about, the major says anyone can win. I mean, he says it in the trailer, but I think the general sentiment here is sure, like in life, like anybody can be a billionaire, but all of us can't.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's especially, I think, there's a promise and an optimism and a feeling of kind of immortality when you're a teenager.
Oh my God!
That makes you believe you can be the one person who can do this. As you get older, and you become an adult, you start looking at odds like that, and you're like, "Am I really going to be the one person out of this 100 or this 50?" But I think that to me, I believe that especially the age of these characters in their late teens, they would all have that optimism of youth that makes them believe they can be the one to get it.
Well, what's also interesting related to that, though, is that they are in competition, but Tut, specifically for your character, a lot of your character, Art, becomes friends with Ray Garrity, the main character played by Cooper Hoffman, as well as Pierre McVries, and there's a sense of camaraderie. They're
the
rooting for each other.
Musketeers, yeah.
And they're on a baton death march, so I mean... Why do you think? What does that say to you?
Well, look, I mean, if we look at life, right? At some point, we're all going to kick the bucket. Do you know what I mean? And with that understanding, does that then mean we don't want to make memories? We don't want to make friends? You know what I mean? We don't want to travel the world. If anything, that motivates you. Do you know what I'm saying? To go out and do those things because at some point, it's going to end. So I think the journey we go on. The boys, the Musketeers, starting off, getting to know each other, and then building this bond, this extreme bond. That journey it's essentially life, but just compacted into that. Those few days that they're on the walk. And I think that's it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah.
This moment matters.
Right. This moment matters, literally beautifully said, yeah.
Well, I would say a lighter note, did you and the cast do any camaraderie building offset? Whether it was walking around a train.
I mean, man, to be here at Comic-Con with Tut and with David and JT, it's so cool to be able to share this life experience with them. And at the end of the day, in 5-10 years, I'm not going to be sitting down watching this movie and remembering this. What I'm going to remember is the time that I shared with you. And the time that I got to share with these boys, I taught this man how to swim.
For real.
Like, I saw the first time this man went underwater.
Oh
and
my
like
God.
To be able to share that moment, that life moment with him, was one of the coolest moments in my life.
What's that? Were you at a pool? Were you
Yeah,
at
we were
a
at a hotel.
We were at the Fairmont, and we went upstairs, and like I was like, Garrett, I don't know how to swim.
I was like, it's okay, I'm a lifeguard, I'll teach you.
Right, and like I was
in Winnipeg.
in
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, but literally like
Los Angeles.
and I was scared, like I was a bit like because I'm a grown man. Do you know what I mean? Imagine saying like I don't know how to swim. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit weird. Like I don't know. I felt a kind of way, but then Garrett was so like no, I'll teach you how to swim, and he taught me in a day. He taught me how to swim.
And like JT says and what McVrie says in the movie, this moment matters.
This moment
and that
matters.
moment in our life mattered. You know?
For sure.
We would get Dairy Queen on Fridays after we finished rap, and
Yes.
that was like the highlight of my week every week. I'm telling you.
Oh my God.
I do want to also bring up JT and Roy as well, that the book is very much written as kind of a metaphor, really, for what Stephen King saw his generation going through in Vietnam. How do you adapt that for the modern world?
It was really easy because I think that the allegory and the metaphor and everything that's in the book about life and society and the promise of what's possible in our society. I think that there's a message. Well, I don't like the word message, but there's themes there that are generational that don't go away. Unfortunately, these type of issues, whether it's the Vietnam War or something else, will always be present. Which is, no matter what happens at the end of the movie. Well, actually, I don't want to give anything away, but they'll always be present. Do that. And so I would say that I felt like, even though at the time the issue standing in for that was the Vietnam War. Right now, there are other issues that people are feeling, and I think that the idea of authoritarianism and also people not being able to afford things and just AI. There's so many things happening right now that I think people can read what they'd like into the, but I think it's more relevant than ever, quite honestly.
Yeah, I could still see people signing up for this, and but I related to that. What do you think separates The Long Walk from what some people might see as its descendants, such as The Hunger Games or Squid Game, or yeah?
Well, I mean, I could just say that when I gave the book to JT to adapt, I said, and what I'd like this to be is the Stand By Me for the next generation. So it was like not necessarily trying to be like more of a competition movie, just more of a movie of the brotherhood between the contestants. Yeah, I think it. I'm just so far. I love Francis Lawrence and the movies he's made, and I've watched them all. But I don't think I could have written The Hunger Games, quite honestly. It wouldn't have been a great fit. This was very specific, and even though I know there are thematic similarities, it just feels very different. And when I sat down with Francis and he explained to me the movie he wanted to make, it felt very different. And I think this is, like he said, Stand By Me meets Full Metal Jacket. It feels very grounded, even though it's not, I guess, but it feels very grounded.
I think you can tell you're pushing some buttons when you have Hall H just going dark, going silent over this.
I mean, it's always great. When I was a kid and I was 12 or 13 or 12, and I couldn't get into a movie, or I heard a movie was too tough for people my age, like it made me want to see it immediately. So I think that the beauty of this movie, in my opinion, is the way Francis handled it. Is the brutality and the intensity and the terror is all shown honestly. So it would be obscene to not show it honestly, but it also never feels gratuitous to me at all. And I think that's a fine line and a great balance, and Francis went all the way, and that's the kind of movie I wanted to make. I wanted to go all the way.
Well, I look forward to when we all can take the walk together on this one when the movie comes out.
In the theater. Please come to the cinema.
September 12th.
September 12th.
Gents, thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a joy.
Thanks for having us.